Hey, friends. Well, today we're looking at another spiritual practice for our Lenten disciplines. Today we're looking at the practice of silence. I know that sounds a little bit crazy to some of us, silence, but the Bible is filled with very godly people who would withdraw away to themselves and to live in silence so that they might hear the voice of God. We saw Elijah, we saw Paul, we saw Jesus many, many times pulling away from the crowds, pulling away from his disciples even, and going by himself out into a desolate place, what they would sometimes call a lonely place, so that he could be alone with God and be quiet and just listen. Now, I know for some of us, that sounds like an impossibility because we have work and maybe we have families and we have other obligations. And so we're with people all the time. And maybe you just can't be silent for a whole day or for any amount of time or even be by yourself. But I do want to encourage you to try to develop an inner silence, a silence where the chatter from around you is stilled and hushed, where we can hear the still small voice of God speak. And not that we're looking for anything in particular, just to be in the presence and to wipe away all the noise so that when God speaks, he isn't drowned out by the voices around us. So, how do we do that? Well, I think it's always a great time if you can get a full day by yourself and just be. No phone, no TV, no other people, in which not only are you practicing silence, but you're quieting down everything around you. That to me is a treasure. But if you can't do that, how about creating a practice each day for just a small amount of time in which you could be by yourself? Not listening to music, not reading, not actively speaking and even praying to God, but just being still and allowing the presence of the Lord to come upon you. Several years ago, I went through a program in which I was learning how to deeply engage the spiritual practices. And when I would go on retreat to do this, I would experience 14 hours a day of pure silence. Yeah, 14 hours a day. There were people around me, but we did not speak. It was a silent retreat for the most part. And the first few times I went, I was very, very uncomfortable because I was so accustomed to noise of any kind. That silence is deafening and it can be scary and it makes us feel somewhat vulnerable. But, friends, if you will do this, create for yourself a pattern, whether it be daily or weekly or whatever works for you, but a time in which you seek out the silence and you pray to God and say, let your presence come upon me and let me fully feel and hear it. I feel that you, friends, you will be blessed because God is there always. Sometimes we just have a hard time recognizing it because of everything else swirling around us. So I hope you'll give silence a try. I know that you'll be blessed by it, and I hope that you have a fantastic week. Be blessed, friends.